Welcome. This is Block Ops, Rolf Versluis with your Horizen monthly live update. I'm just doing the intro because we've got FinPunk, Rob doing the hosting here, and all sorts of other people on the Horizen team coming in to give us updates. As usual, we've got a lot of things that have happened in the last month, so let's get to it. Rob, you with me?
Absolutely, Rob. Let's do it.
All right.
All right, everyone. Welcome. Happy International Labor Day. So we'll big picture here. We'll kick it off with a typical structure. So we'll start off with the community highlights and get into a business development update, which Ron will bring you. Then I'll walk us through the development highlights over the last month. And there's been significant development over the last month. So a lot to talk about, and we'll go through the projects there. I'll turn it to Alan, and he'll go through the node system updates. Then I'll hand it to Lucy for marketing, and then she'll hand it to our regional managers to talk about what's going on all over the world. So next slide, please. Okay, so something a little different this time. And what we realized is we put a lot of energy, a lot of resources into these monthly updates, and we might as well try to make better use of them, right? So it's really good. I mean, the general purpose here is we want to convey information and be extremely transparent to our community, but at the same time, we want more engagement with the community. So we want to make sure that the community is engaged and they understand exactly what we're saying, and anything that might be a little more relevant to our viewers, we want to know that. So a great way to start collecting data is to start doing quizzes and trivia and actually start getting some feedback. So we're going to make it fun, and Lucy will go into a lot more detail about this, but stick around until the very end of the live stream, and you will actually have an opportunity to answer some questions and possibly be one of 3 lucky winners who can win $20 worth of Zen. So next slide, please. Okay, so community member highlights. So we have a recurring member here. So Hellcat Z always does an awesome job helping us test everything. So basically, whenever we have a new software package we want to release and we have community testing, Hellcat Z always leads community testing. And once again, with 2.0.17, he did exactly that and really helped out the team. So Threado, thank you very much for being a community evangelist within your communities as well, and helping expand and extend the Horizen vision to different people. Always appreciate that, especially in all the different communication platforms. We really need people to step up and get out there, answer questions, and really just kind of show the passion that we have as a project and be part of it. So Threado, thank you very much. And Horse Red, again, contributions to the community. So really appreciate that within the Portuguese community. So thank you for that. And again, just kind of leading by example. You guys are awesome, and we need more of this. So if you notice anyone in any of our forums, anywhere that you happen to be interacting with other Horizen community members, and you see people doing outstanding things, please let us know. And the way to do that is contact Horace Feathers, Erica, on our Discord channel. Next slide, please. Okay, so a big announcement that happened earlier in the month, I believe it was the 10th of the month, we went public with an announcement that a for-profit company named Horizen Labs, of which I am the CEO of, and we have various members of our team actually moved on to the company to do very important work. So the work is we're actually building commercial products on top of the Horizen tech stack. So what we have is right now a nonprofit foundation, the Zen Blockchain Foundation, which is us right now, and everyone on this team that brings you these monthly updates. Started off as Zen Blockchain Foundation, and now and that's really, if you look at it in business terms, it's really a B2C type of thing, where we're actually building products and getting out there and evangelizing, building communities, and doing the types of things that you would expect from a cryptocurrency community. Horizen Labs is the first of what we hope to be many commercial enterprises to start building things for specific applications or use cases. In the case of Horizen Labs, in the next slide, I'll get into a little bit more detail about what we're all about. But it's actually a B2B type of venture where we're actually focusing on building side chains as a service for business clients. So there's a lot to unpackage there. Now, just from step back and from the big picture theoretical perspective of what we're doing is, the vision here is we have a protocol, we have Horizen, we have a nonprofit foundation that has been managing the treasury for this protocol. But what we're doing is democratizing this treasury, and the future that we want is one in which we have a democratized treasury pool, and we have many entities, individuals, companies, whatever scale, organization, or person that wants to participate in the ecosystem. We want to have an open treasury system in which they can bid on resources. So Horizen Labs would be basically what we consider the first of a broader ecosystem of where we want to be able to attract other businesses and other individuals, developers, companies, whatever, to start, participating in this ecosystem and start making use of the technology, the primary tech stack that we have. So next slide, please. I'll go into a little bit more detail about what Horizen Labs is all about. So on the kind of the formation of the company formed by raising $4 million from outside investors. So I need to make this very clear. Horizen Labs is an independent technology company, and our goal is to enable businesses to deploy their own distributed ledger solutions on the Horizen public blockchain. So clearly you can see the symbiotic relationship here is the more that Horizen Labs can provide useful products for businesses to get them to start using Zen in a commercial sense, the better off everyone in the entire community is. So this is the focus here on business adoption, which I think will drive significant value for all stakeholders within the ecosystem. And ultimately, if we are successful, and if other companies come in and they're successful in building products that people actually use to solve real world problems, this should for sure increase the demand for Zen, and that value will be shared for sure across. In the case of what we're doing in Horizen Labs, across node operators, across different types of Zen users. So as an example here, what we're doing on the HL side, the Horizen Labs side, is thinking about sidechains as a service and building a platform layer on top of the sidechain SDK that makes using that SDK much more intuitive for, say, non-blockchain technical teams. So really the goal is if we can get IT teams and companies that don't necessarily have blockchain expertise to be able to deploy sidechains that solve some of their real world business problems, that's a big success, and that's our goal. And the marketplace that we're looking at is just by the construction of the sidechain model that we have, the SDK model, and how we're going to enable this, is we envision a competitive marketplace where node operators will be able to sign up to be certifying nodes and actually participate and fee revenue streams that flow across the network. So there's a lot going on there. Really excited that we have some very, very serious and impressive outside investors coming to the table. So we did have some PR that went out on the 10th of the month that went into a little bit more detail about who's supporting us. We have really leading the round. We have Barry Silbert and DCG providing again continued wonderful support. Also supporting Horizen at the protocol level, but now supporting Horizen Labs at the corporate level with some venture investment. And also Liberty City Ventures is another fantastic cryptocurrency venture capital firm or blockchain-based venture capital firm that's investing in Horizen Labs, and then other outside investors. So the good thing is we have external capital flowing into this ecosystem to build real products to solve real problems. So next slide, please. Okay, and here's where I will pass it off to Rowan to get into one of our big BD announcements.
Thank you very much, Rob. So this month, I am happy to announce an integration with Coinvest Plus. So these guys are an exchange that's part of a new kind of ecosystem of cryptocurrency applications. And they're all hyper-focused on creating really, really highly usable Apple-like products, if you like, which in my opinion and in our opinion is exactly what this industry needs to really try and drive further adoption. So the trading pairs that are live at the moment on Coinvest Plus are Zen and Bitcoin, Ethereum, GUSD, which is Gemini's stablecoin. So that's a new pairing for us, and Zen Coin, which is the platform's own token, kind of akin to BNB. But the exchange itself, as I mentioned, is only part of a wider ecosystem. The team at Coinvest have a very ambitious roadmap, including kind of educational and news resources, an incubation program for startups. One that's quite topical for us at the moment is a super user-friendly wallet designed for kids. So as was mentioned in some of the previous social announcements, the The Zen team has kind of expanded recently with the arrival of a couple of Zen babies from different team members. So this kind of next generation piggy bank has came at exactly the right time to help the next generation really understand the benefits of holding new types of assets. They also have a hardware wallet within their repertoire, and they're working on a debit card. So quite an exciting ecosystem. Coinvest Plus is kind of their starter, if you like, with the exchange. You'll get to their main site. It's coinve.st, and that will show you all the different products. And that is it from me from this month. As always, we have a pipeline of exciting integrations in progress, so very much looking forward to share some more detail on those with you next month. Back to you, Rob.
Cool. Thank you, Rowan. Okay, yes, so we just went through a major protocol improvement. So we released some new software that went live on the 26th. And what we did was that we actually made a modification to just core Bitcoin protocol at the network layer. So this is actually a really important upgrade that, whenever you modify something that's been operating in the wild for many years without being touched, you have to be extremely cautious with what you do. But what we've done is actually put in additional security features for our software so that we can have users, and particularly exchanges in this case, actually understand exactly what's going on, or have a better intelligence perspective of what's going on in the network, so that they can make better and more informed security decisions. So the network code really helps people, publicly or visibly, to be able to spot malicious activity earlier. And this is a really critical part for security. Is it's nice to have hard-coded or engineering solutions to prevent malicious activity. But sometimes even being able to detect that someone is trying to be malicious on your network, or something weird is going on the network, is also very important from a security perspective. So really happy with that. And so what it was from Bitcoin code, the chain with the longest or most accumulated proof of work is the chain that gets relayed between nodes. And what we did was we actually relay now more than just that one chain. And you can see on the network, are there other chains that could overtake the chain that we currently consider the longest chain and the valid truth of our network. So it's a significant improvement, in particular when coupled with a new RPC function we layered in here, where people can get just a better intelligence perspective of, is someone trying to attack the network by saying, accumulating or working on, say, a trailing chain with maybe that falls behind the current tip of the network. And maybe they're kind of trailing, but then at least you can see this now, and then you can use our new RPC function to be able to see how many blocks ahead do you have to be able to with some confidence outpace any trailing chains. So it's a nice security feature, and I think it makes the network more efficient as a whole, more robust. So that's really important, and it also makes our prior 51% attack mitigation code, the penalty system, more robust. So really happy with what went forward. We'll also talk about some other improvements that went forward in 2.0.17. But guys, it may look like just a very routine software update, but there's a lot of work that goes into this stuff, a lot of thought, and just the process that we have in place now. It should look boring, and I think these things are looking more boring over time, because we're getting more professional and we have better processes that we're continuously improving, so that when we're actually doing complex work in the background, we sort of abstract away from that and you just don't see it. And we want things to just be going smooth. So we have very integrated team approach here to the way we do things, from where we start the preliminary designs, the requirements generation process, the preliminary design, to coding, to unit testing, to system testing, integration testing, all that stuff, multiple eyes on code. And then we have other interdisciplinary teams communicating with different major stakeholders and partners to make sure that everything goes smoothly. So really proud to say that this last deprecation and then software upgrade went very smoothly and was very boring. So I'd like to see more boring, and I told you 2019 is our year of boring. So we'll keep going with that. And next slide, please. So the projects that we've been working on, so these are the completed projects for 2019 so far. So 2.0.17, like I said, just went live on the 26th. And also, so we had the transaction confirmation finality RPC method was introduced. Block max complexity parameter was included. And we fixed a Horizen shielded address display, which huge shout out to the Zcash team. Thank you for working through a very collaborative, bug fix process that you guys implement or instigated, and really appreciative of that, and happy to be part of this collaborative process. For any time that there's kind of a shared bug across related projects, it's very important for us as a community and ecosystem to come forward and help each other out. So huge shout out to the Zcash team. Thank you very much for that. It was a display bug, so nothing too critical there, but still we want to make sure that we are constantly improving all of our software. So we also had a Sphere by Horizen 1.1.0 Bravo release that was concurrent with the 2.0.17 Zen D release. And what you saw in here were the user console was added to it. So now if you are an advanced user and you're typically used to or prefer using command line, like many of us do, you can also do this now within Sphere by Horizen. So you can still take advantage of the nice GUI features and product, but still open up a console within the app and be able to code in there. We have a very important feature was added, the Ledger Seed phrase restore. So for those of us that are Ledger users, and I highly recommend anyone in the cryptocurrency space to investigate and consider using hardware wallets. It's really nice sometimes to be able to restore your wallet if it gets stuck and something is going on with it. And hardware is a hardware, and hardware can be corrupted or something can go wrong. And for us, when we have a node operating system, and sometimes you can have many micropayments that even erroneously get paid to your address, and no fault of the network, but for some reasons of people trying to game a system, you could actually have your address accumulate micropayments that weren't actually meant for it, and this could cause problems with your hardware. So it's really nice to be able to restore your wallet onto a non-hardware device. So now you can do that on Sphere by Horizen. So it's a really nice, useful feature for our community. Something that was a real nice to have, actually, from a user perspective, was transaction history now actually uses the historical market price of Zen at the time that you sent that transaction or posted the transaction, versus when you're booting up your wallet and looking at the transaction history. So this was something that Gustavo and their team fixed, which was really nice. And some other significant performance improvements. So you'll see the things just kind of operate much more smoothly and quicker, and expect to see continued performance improvements, bug fixes, and of course, importantly, we had compatibility with 2.0.17 for the app. Another project we closed out was related to 2.0.17. The transaction weight and block weight was done. And okay, so here we had, I'll just quickly explain. We had a bit of a problem early on whenever there's a flood of activity in the network, and historically we saw this happen when we got listed on Binance. We had a flood of activity for people pulling funds out of exchanges that they were storing, had stored their Zen on, and we're moving it over to Binance to start doing some trading with it on that platform. What happened is, whenever you pull, or the way exchanges manage their wallets, is they aggregate a lot of many UTXOs or inputs into a bigger transaction, and then they post that to the network. Now, what happens when nodes actually look at these transactions to determine if they're valid and check signatures is they actually go through all the different inputs. And what we realized was we had miners that didn't want to post is maximum transactions into blocks when they were pulling like get block template when they were doing mining, because if they had to have their node go through all these different signatures to verify them, and you have a transaction that has many inputs, say hundreds of inputs into the transaction of micro UTXOs, it could actually box things down and be a disadvantage to the miners in the competitive mining race to win the next block. So that said, now we have, miners were kind of taking, and mining pools were taking a blunt force approach, which was very rational at the time, to just limit the number of transactions that they would include in a block. And they just capped it at kind of an arbitrarily low number. I believe it was 17, just to make sure that they could, in real time or more quickly process that block in the competitive race to actually win. Now what we have is a more rational way of actually looking at a complexity factor here, where you can actually bundle many more transactions into your block and actually look at the total complexity and total size of that in a more rational, efficient way. So all of these details are extremely important for having a well-functioning, healthy, and efficient blockchain. And it's all continuous improvement that we're doing kind of in the background, and you see being released in these new upgrades. So next slide, please. You see the projects that are ongoing. And again, guys, focus on the projects in blue. So the ones in black are things that we don't have updates for you this month. So we've just done the 2.0.17, and concurrently already we've been working on the next release after that, when we're trying to do these things every quarter to match our deprecation cycle. The next one coming up is 2.1.0, and the reason we're calling it 2.1.0 and not continuing on the 2.0.x trend is because this has significant feature improvements. It's a significant upgrade for the system. So, and because it's so significant, we've been taking our time to make sure that everything is done safely, securely, and we're actually not breaking anything by, say, the big improvement here, the kind of elephant in the room is this is where we're implementing full sapling from Zcash. And we wanted to make sure that everything is fully compatible. And by implementing sapling here, we're not breaking anything else. So actually getting it to LibSnark, for instance, and making any modifications, making sure that things work properly is a big deal. And we want to make sure that everything is done properly. So this is a long lead upgrade for us. So we've been working on for a while, actually since the tail end of last year. And we're really happy that in the next upgrade, it's going to go forward. So all the coding's been done. Right now, we've been going through significant code review and preliminary testing. And also, we have an improvement on the transaction signature scheme for how we resolve, again, another quadratic scaling issue, the way that nodes actually resolve signatures within transactions. And this is, without getting too complex on this, it's a nice performance improvement for rather than kind of when you have many inputs to a transaction, verifying the signatures in kind of an inefficient way was resolved. And this is something now that when we go through transactions that have many inputs, we actually have a more efficient process for cycling through them, which again goes to the core of the protocol and what seem like small, but over time accumulate to be very important performance enhancements. So you can see our two big themes here for whenever we talk about core tech. We want security. So we want to be extremely robust and secure. Security, I think, is number one priority because we are a blockchain that has a cryptocurrency. And when you deal with real money in the real world, you want to be extremely, extremely cautious and err on the side of security. So be very conservative with the decisions you make that affect the entire network, but then also efficiency and performance are absolutely critical. So we want to keep getting faster and better at what we do. And we're fully committed to that. And you can see with just our plans and our release cycles, it's exactly what we're doing. The next big thing is something that we've been working on for a while. And this is arguably one of the most important innovative enhancements that we're doing to our protocol is the sidechain SDK. So allowing our main chain to now have other blockchains that run as side chains and then interact with that main chain is extremely important and critical for migrating us from a project that really focuses on a cryptocurrency as its primary app to one that can now open up as a much broader platform, which can now work with companies like Horizen Labs and others to now start building business applications. So the sidechain system is critical, and it's a very, very complex thing. So we have work that we have to do on the ZenD core protocol, and then we have work that we're doing on a sidechain SDK. So the SDK is a software developer kit, which is basically, we want to make it easier and more intuitive for developers to be able to build sidechains that interact with our main chain protocol. So ton of work here. We've been talking about this for a while. So we're still aiming for a late Q2, potentially slip into Q3 release of an alpha. And we're going to be much more intentional with declaring exactly what we consider an alpha. So Rosario and her team are working with Alberto and the guys on actually defining exactly what these things mean and honing in on the exact architecture. So we've been working in a process that has been doing things concurrently in parallel, where we know that we have certain architectural decisions to make, and we've been racing forward on things that we know are on the same, say, branch, but maybe different or same, tree terminology here, but the same tree, but maybe different branches. So the base of that are things that we know would be true for any either one of the different models that we could ultimately bring to market. So we've been racing forward on that, but we know for sure. So we have some very interesting enhancements to the sidechain model that we worked on, and the one that we published a white paper of last year. And the enhancements are very sophisticated uses of snarks to do security validation of what happens on sidechain. So because it is such a significant and sophisticated path that we could take, we also put a checkpoint in here of we need to decide exactly what the alpha is going to be for this model. Are we going to bring this very sophisticated kind of recursive snark technique to market initially? Will that be our alpha, or will our alpha be something kind of an intermediary project or product leading up to that? So these are still things that are on the design path, but we're racing forward to that alpha, and we'll have more information released in the near future about exactly what's going to be bundled in there. And then the beta following that about a quarter later. So next slide, please. Okay, so on the Horizen Academy side, so we're constantly working on new content here. So we have, actually, thanks very much to Angie Rubin, our Spanish team, for working on Spanish localization or Spanish translations of all the content that we're doing there. And we want to make sure that the content that we're providing on the platform is accessible and matches actually our user base, because if you don't speak English, you probably need content in your local language. So kicking that off with Spanish first, and just always adding more content there. So very excited for the project. We've actually had some very nice feedback from the community on it. And, so to our team that's been working on it, a huge shout out. And Sphere by Horizen Mobile is something I'm also extremely excited about, because what's really nice is to have your product have consistent look, feel, and user experience across platforms. So whether you're using your laptop, desktop, mobile phone, iOS, Android, it's really good practice to make sure that the product or user experience is consistent across those. So Sphere by Horizen has been a big success on the desktop version, but we're gearing up to release both iOS and Android versions. So we're about 75% complete there. We're in the integration testing phase, so continuing along, and expect that in Q3. So next slide, please. All right, so this is the team that has been working so hard in the background on 2.0.17 to make it a success. So this slide is really just meant to be a huge shout out to the team that's done this. It's an integrated team, everyone from who worked on the architecture or the requirements decisions on what went into it, to actually coding it, to code review, to testing, to community testing with Hellcat Z that I mentioned earlier, to our famous Luca, who's constantly getting out there and being the glue that coordinates all the different activities across our team internally, and then also externally to different stakeholders. Everything just went so well on this one, and so happy with the team for all the hard work, and it paid off, because again, it was a very boring software release. So really happy there. So the two Albertos that we have here in Italy, Giuseppe, the new team member, Maurizio, Chronic, Cyrax, Hellcat Z, Luca, and our marketing team for communicating so effectively with our community on what was going into this and when things were happening, how they were happening. Guys, thank you so much across the board. And next slide, please. Okay, so again, now let's get under the hood a little bit about what exactly went into 2.0.17. So the first thing was the transaction confirmation finality, RPC method. Again, this goes towards the, how we wanted a quantifiable metric that could leave our users or stakeholders, whether that's an exchange or a miner, some quantifiable metric to gauge security, or is someone trying to attack the network. So we added an RPC method in there. We added the block max complexity parameter that I talked about solving our quadratic scaling problem on many input transactions. So as a speed up for get block template, very important again for health of the network, because we want pool operators and we want miners to be able to to help process transactions as fast as possible across the board. We don't want discrimination in transaction type. We want as many transactions to be processed. We don't want transactions to linger, be held up for many blocks in the cycle. So this is one method of making the get block template process more elegant and efficient. Fixed a display bug that I mentioned. A big shout out to the Zcash team on that, on just the Horizen shielded address display. So for this one, you could actually have your wallet display a different value of coins that were sent into a shielded address that were actually there. So the vector of attack here could be someone knows that this bug exists and convinces someone to render a service, for instance, and then claims that they've paid them, and the amount that they claim to pay seems to show up in the wallet, but actually it wasn't there. The UTXOs actually weren't broadcast in the amount that they claimed they were. So clean that address display bug up. Now, the big one here, again, was touching the BTC protocol. So the improvement here at the network level was very important. And this went towards node propagation and just how nodes propagate blocks and chains, actually. So do they broadcast just the block sequence or the chain that has the greatest accumulation of proof of work? Or do they broadcast, say, the next one or the one after that in terms of accumulated proof of work? So how do they do that? So this actually is one that it's a change that goes towards security and robustness to make sure that our users, if they wish, and maybe this is something for us as a team to take as an action. So thank you, Rolf, for this thought, is maybe we need to come up with an education or training package to help users understand exactly what these tools are that we're now providing for them to be able to detect malicious activity earlier and have this bigger kind of intelligence picture for what's going on the network. So we also have let's see, the next deprecation here is block 555555. So keep that in mind. It's going to be in July. And again, we have a quarterly deprecation cycle here. So we try to keep things smooth and routine and minimize surprises. So we want all of our partners, exchange partners, all of our users to know that there's a regular process here and cycle for how we do upgrades and improvements. So that's why we built in a quarterly deprecation cycle, and we typically pair this with some software upgrade. So huge thank you for the continuous support of our community, our mining pools, node operators, exchanges, partners, full wallet users, anyone that runs a full node, whether that's Sphere by Horizen full node or just a command line full node. You know that you have to upgrade, and by choosing to upgrade, you're signaling your continued support for our team and what we're doing. So we shouldn't take this for granted, and thank you very much for the continued support. And we absolutely will not let you down, and we're going to keep getting better at what we do. Next slide, please. Okay, so many big things going on here, guys. So you know that at the beginning of the year, we talked about our commitment towards transparency, or really all along we've been talking about our commitment towards transparency. These monthly live streams are a huge part of our commitment to transparency. But now what we're doing to significantly further along this commitment to transparency is we're in process of migrating the bulk of our engineering activity to our public GitHub repository. So for those of us, the engineers or technical people that follow what we do, you know that we do a lot of our development, I'd say the bulk of our development in private repositories, because our process has been build in private, refine, make sure that we've worked through significant bugs and tested things, and then publish to the public repository. But there's two problems with this, or two things that we hope to accomplish by making it our development work actually happen on the public repository instead of just being published after the fact to the public repo. One, we want to make the project more attractive and intellectually stimulating for other developers and engineers to participate in what we're doing. So it's not as intellectually interesting, as a technical person, to just go and look back at what we've published. The work's all done, we've tested it, and is really, we think it's a pretty good product or a pretty good, sequence of code. It's not as satisfying to be able to see it being developed and potentially participate in that development. So when things are done in a public, transparent manner, not only is it transparent, but it's also more gratifying. And I think for open source engineers, we want to make this a more interesting project for them to see what's going on, see that there is, in fact, a significant amount of engineering activity across multiple product domains that are all interesting. So if you're a network guy, if you're kind of a sysadmin guy, or if you're a snark guy, if you're just a kind of a software developer guy of a different flavor, there's probably something for you in this project that's been going on. And I think by us doing things in private for so long, it's not as evident that there's so much going on. And now the corollary to this is, because it's not as evident, because we do things in private, we've seen the emergence of kind of project ratings agencies here, which is kind of weird. It's kind of like how you have, Standard & Poor's ratings agency for publicly traded companies in the US or globally. and you see these ratings on stocks out there. Well, now we've seen the emergence of companies that are doing this for blockchain projects. And yes, we have been rated. And yes, we have absolutely failed our ratings because we haven't communicated with the ratings agencies or people doing these ratings what we're doing. And in fact, so we've actually been finally understand and been in communications with one of the major ratings agencies. So if you go to CoinMarketCap, for instance, coinmarketcap.com, and you look at the ratings for us today, we don't do that well. It says F, but we're actually kind of in the middle of the pack there, and there are many others below, and there are many above us because they've been doing things in a more transparent way that has actually been picked up by these rating groups. So migrating a lot of our development activity to the public repository is something that would actually signal to these other ratings agencies that we are a very active engineering project, and this should boost our rating. So we don't manage our project to external ratings, but it is nice that we have the symbiotic thing where by doing what we wanted to do all along anyway, and more public, transparent developer activity to migrate or hopefully entice other open source developers, we can also look better on these metrics that are out there. And investors do look at these metrics. Now, we're not ever going out there and trying to sell Zen as an investment product. Absolutely not. But we do manage this towards, it is nice when you can do something and have, people that look at you and kind of critique who you are. And when people go and think from a developer perspective, which project do I want to work on? They can go and look at ratings, and they'll go to the projects that are rated like an A or maybe a B because they want to participate in making it an A. But if we're out there on this ratings chart as an F, we're much less likely to have people kind of organically come and just start participating. So a lot of words to say. This is something that we're very excited about. It's so Rosario will foot stomp the fact that this is a process. Now, when we make this commitment, there's a lot of extra work that goes into it. We're actually also going to be much more active with our comments and feedback from the community on GitHub versus, we still do have our support desk, and we've been fielding the majority of questions on our support desk through our support portal and on Discord, but also now we're going to be very active on GitHub all around. So we're committing more resources to it. And I think all around, even though it's more work and more resources, it's absolutely the right thing to do. So very happy about it. And final note at the bottom of the slide here, we are officially retiring our public Trello board because you're going to be able to see exactly what we're working on here in the public repository. And we have other management tools that we've been much more active with. So because we are an actively managed project, things that we're not necessarily using anymore, we want to professionally retire versus just leaving them out there and not doing a good job maintaining them. So next slide, please. Okay, Sphere by Horizen 1.1.0 Bravo was released. And again, I've already mentioned most of these, actually all of these things. So user console for advanced users, ledger seed phrase restore, very important for people that want to migrate over from their hardware wallets, bug fixes and performance improvements, and compatibility with ZenD 2.0.17. Next slide, please. And here is a snapshot, since we haven't given you guys a visual yet of what this restore looks like. So you can actually plop your seed phrase in the box here, the big box, and it'll actually restore your wallet that you've created from seed phrase, whether that was on Ledger or Coinomi or any other BIP 3944 supported system. Next slide, please. Okay, here's where I will hand it off to Alan to give you a node system update.
Thank you, Rob. And for those of you who are new to the secure and super nodes, maybe haven't come across those, we have all of those out running the Zen software, and we have 18,000 secure nodes and 2,600 super nodes. And if you'd like to participate in those, you can click on the link or actually get the link down at the bottom to find out more about the Zen nodes. But this whole version of the tracking system that we run right now to share earnings from the blocks themselves is a version 1 separate from the blockchain. And it's mostly designed to learn what we can from doing this process and putting it into the second version, which will be available on the side chains when the side chains are available. So what we've been working on in the past month. And what will be coming up soon is some tweaks to the systems. And this is across both systems. We are going to be enforcing unique IP and stake addresses across the systems. It's going to be an automated process that will check to see that a stake, like on a supernode, is not also being used on a secure node, so there's no double dipping. We have updates to the node tracker 0.4.1 coming out. We are also introducing an API, which is basically a subkey for hosted nodes. So anybody who is not directly running a node and has a node through a hosted service, a hosting provider for nodes, will be able to participate and see their information on our tracking system, and also use that for API calls for other third-party applications that are built to access our tracking servers. We will also be able to start reusing the IP4 addresses from nodes that are dead, no longer up. This has been an issue in the past that providers will reuse the IP4 addresses, and we weren't allowing that in our system, so that should be some relief at that point. We're going to have some enhanced connection checking coming up so that the connections between the nodes themselves, the node tracker, and the tracking servers are better able to handle disconnects and reconnects. We'll also be updating the exception threshold. The past month or so, we increased the threshold on downtimes to 3 minutes, and we're going to be doing the same thing for exceptions. You'll still see the exception being created, but it'll be excluded from the payment generation. And that will be basically not sweating the small stuff and have the system be a bit more resilient than it is currently. We are also planning an extended upgrade for the database and cluster. Both systems are going to be down for a while. Now, we haven't done this in the past to bring the whole system down at one time. So we're testing that, and we're going to be sure that we can have all the nodes still connected and just not tracking them, bring the databases down, and then bring them back up. If you watch for notices in the first half of May, we will have more details on the planned process, when things will be down, when they'll be up, and anything that does take place in terms of affecting payments will just be negated during that period. So there should be nothing to do on the node operator's part for this whole process. And with that, I'm going to pass this over to Lucy.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Lucy here from marketing. So we have a lot of exciting updates to share with you today from marketing. So, well, our homepage now has a new look. So we constantly make updates and improvements to our website, either based on the new project developments as we make progress all the time, or based on very helpful feedback that we receive from our team and community. So for instance, we added several new pages since the last time we launched the Horizen website, like our note page, Sophia by Horizen page, and Academy, and the improvements we make to Zendao page and roadmap as well. So our website doesn't just stay static. We are constantly making improvements. But this is the first complete makeover that we did for our homepage since our launch of the Horizen website. So with the new page, we are presenting our visitors with some really great, the same great content, but with a refreshed look. So the look design, the new design is based on the user feedback and also behavior analysis information that we studied over time. So the reason that we're doing this is because we want to make sure that we are presenting the most useful information to our visitors and giving them the best user experience when they come and learn about Horizen. So ultimately, it helps acquire new users for us. So the result is a much cleaner layout, and it will be easier for visitors to navigate and find all the important information about our project, and just overall a much more user-friendly experience for everyone. So, please head to horizen.global and check it out. Again, we are always listening and improving. So if you have any feedback or comments, we would love to hear about them. And the homepage is really not the only change we recently made to our website. And we have another really exciting new addition. And I think that leads to our next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so we now have a merchant directory. So one of our primary goals is to make Zen the most useful privacy cryptocurrency on the market. So it is critically important for the Horizen ecosystem that people are able to use Zen in the real world, in their day-to-day life. So we are already connected to some very popular crypto payment solution providers that make crypto payment possible for businesses. And Zen is already accepted by many different types of business all over the world. So now there is actually a place within our website where people can actually look up and locate the places where Zen is accepted. And so we are where people can purchase goods, and you can go to our merchant directory and locate places where people can purchase goods or hire services, use Zen, and our new merchant directory, you can find business by their city or country, so you can see if there are any merchants near you. You can also find merchants by category, so it's really easy to use, and it's also pretty cool to visualize, using our map function to see our Zen payment network has covered really all over the world. So if you're a business owner and you're already accepted, so you may be already listed on our merchant directory. So check it out. But if not, please let us know so we can add your business to the list. And for instance, there's a category for all of our third-party node services. So if you provide services to host or set up Horizen nodes, we can add your service or business on the page. So again, we are constantly making updates and improvements to our website. So if you see any further improvement you should see more further improvement on the 2 pages I just talked about, and you will also see new updates on our other pages in the near future. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so we are running a summer sale in our merch store to celebrate the month of May. So we have a really cool new design by our in-house designer, Marco. So personally, May is my favorite month, so definitely a good month to wear some cool swag. So make sure that you head to our store and then pick out some cool ones. And then you can use the promo code to get a 10% off store-wide, and then it's good for the entire month. Next slide, please. Okay, so at Horizen, both our team and community are just full of creativity. So our community member Chiara from Italy made a collection of cute stickers for our Telegram community, and then we presented them in one of our previous live stream already. And recently, she just added 3 more new stickers. So please make sure that you join our new group on Telegram to use these stickers, and then you can use them on our Discord channel as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is what Rob mentioned earlier. So we are doing a trivia, and anyone who watched our live stream can join. So you will find all the answers to the questions from this live stream. So please make sure you stay until the end and to make sure that you get all the answers that you need. And the link to the trivia is shared on all of our social media channels. So if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Reddit, you will be able to see the link. And if you're not following us, you need to do that right now. And you will also need a secret code to answer the trivia. And the secret code is Zen Live. And we will pick winners with the correct answers. So good luck, everyone. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's go through our marketing performance in April. As you can see, we had a really good month comparison to the previous period when we saw a overall very big increase across all boards, and we had a really good numbers on traffic to our official website and also blog site. Just that every metric has increased, and we're just really happy to see that. And that just shows us that a lot more people come and visit us and trying to learn about us. And I'm particularly happy to see that the bounce rate has dropped by a lot, especially on the blog side, meaning that people are really spending time reading all the contents that we published. And then they're really interested in all the activities that is happening within the project. And I really look forward to see what kind of growth that our new improvement that we made on our website would make to the metrics. So really excited to see that. And then the other number that I'm really excited about is the new users that we brought into our community. So we saw a particularly high number of new users visited our both of our website and also blog site. So that's something it's always really interesting to see. And something worth to mention also is that most of this traffic is through organic search. So we are not paying for any of the traffic or doing anything that paid by click, for instance. That people are actually actively looking up us on Google search. So that just it's just something really exciting to see. And then the other growth that we saw, significant growth that we saw is on our social media platforms as well. Again, the organic impression on Twitter and also organic impression per tweets on Twitter has increased by over 200%. That's a very big increase, meaning that our message is really being pushed out, and then a lot more people saw our message and also interact with our message. And then we also increased a lot of new followers on all of our social media channels as well. So all of this, you can see that we have a really active community and a growing community. It's just something really exciting to see during current market condition. So good job, team, and good job, community. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, past event, as usual, the team has been busy. We've been everywhere on the world, all over the world, attending events and hosting meetups. Particularly the second ZK Proof workshop in California. And then I've heard that it was a really good event, and our engineers, core engineers were there, and then they had a really good time. I had a very good conversations with people who were there. Our regional manager Angie, and she's been really busy recently as well, hosting events and going to conferences and talking to people. So if you are interested in hosting or participating in Horizen events or meetups, let us know, and then we can always help you to make that happen. Next slide, please. So upcoming events, as you can see, we are going to have a very busy month in May. And something worth to mention, we will be in Consensus next month in New York. So if you are in New York or near there, you reach out to us, and we would love to meet you in person. So a small group of people, team will be in Consensus, Also, we will be in Georgia. Our regional manager, Vano, will be in 2 conferences in Georgia in the next, actually, this week. So he will be busy as well. And we will have meetups in Sydney, in Australia, in Lagos, Nigeria. And also we will be attending our very first conference in China as well. So our Chinese community manager, Guan, will be representing Horizen in the big conference in China. So it's really excited about that as well. And we will be in the BIP 001 conference in Ukraine too. So if you are near any of these areas, reach out to us, and we would love to meet you in person. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. We are moving to our regional updates. This is where our regional leads giving updates of what happened in their area and their local communities and all the activities that they did, all the accomplishments that they made in the past month. And I will pass on to Arno from Central European region.
Yeah, hi Lucy, and thanks for the introduction. And yes, we also have 2 events this May in Germany. One will be in Berlin. It's the Bosch Hackathon, which is the 2nd time. Also last year, Horizen, or formerly Zencash, attended there. In this time, I will not be going there. Instead, Ayara is currently visiting Germany, so he is going to Berlin. And of course, the 2nd event in May will be the Blockchain Hotel Conference. It's actually a very major event for us in Germany. And I have limited discount promo codes for you. You will get them if you send 4.2 cent to the SEN address, the transparent address mentioned here. And then you have to confirm with an email at least that the transparent address which you used is yours by a 2nd transaction, which includes a PIN, a 4-digit PIN, which I will send you via email. So in this 4-step process, I will guarantee you can keep your privacy. I don't need KYC, and the SEN will be used for merchandise, which is distributed on the Blockchain Hotel Conference. So you will save, I think, €300 with the promo code. It is limited. So right now it's live. So I hope to see the first transaction coming in, and don't forget the emails to me. So, and then the actually last point from my slide is just some highlights about April. We had some very good news from Manon and Dorian from France. She hosted a meetup. I think it's also the 2nd or 3rd meetup in Strasbourg, which she organized or co-organized. And we also have Fran's news article about our project, and including Horizen Labs, which was mentioned from Robert earlier on. So that's all from my side, and don't forget to check out the events in Germany. And now I will hand over to Angie, I think.
Thank you so much, Arno. So we are ready to rock the Latin American slides. A lot of really cool stuff happened during April in the Latin American market. Thanks to Levis and Ruben, that they help me always, and we always work together to rock the Latin American team. So we have a conference with the Singularity University as well as WeWork, in which we talk about blockchain applications and use cases. We did also a video collaboration with Students for Liberty at Tecnológico de Monterrey, which is a very good university of Mexico. You can see there the gift, the one on the right. We also have ready our Horizen Spanish wiki. It's ready to rock. So please make sure to ask us any questions, submit your tickets. There's the link, support.horizen.global. So for our Spanish speaking community, you can ask us questions there regarding anything. We also have a collaboration with Binance Latin America, Ask Me Anything, coming up in the next few days. So I'm very excited to look forward to that. We also had great meetups happening all over Latin America. So in Venezuela, in Colombia, we have a huge, massive classroom full of people learning about Horizen. There you can see as well the pictures. So we're really happy for that. And we also have some interviews and a lot of interactions in social media channels in Latin America. So I'm super excited and happy. Thank you all to the Latin American community, truly, because they're always with us asking questions. So we hope to continue the good work, and thanks. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Angie. As Lucy mentioned, we have quite a busy month of May in Georgia. I'll be speaking on May the 3rd at the International Festival of Cybersecurity in University of Georgia. And I'll be taking part in the panel discussion about decentralized systems in cybersecurity. And then towards the end of May, a crypto cafe, first of its kind, is opening in Tbilisi, Georgia. And on May 5th, they have their first meetup where I will be representing Horizen. And in July, we will be at the BIP 001 conference, which is a very high-level conference with very limited places available. And Horizen has been invited there. And will be delivering a speech there. Part of that, I would like to mention that we have launched Cointigo's Georgian node here in Georgia. And that means that now Georgian people can use Cointigo's services with internet. And you can very easily introduce anyone to the cryptocurrencies, to Zen, using Cointigo's service. And if you wish to use services, look page where you can find the Georgian language manual and service number for the Cointigo service. Also, Georgian service number is present on the website. And lastly, I wish to mention that you should also follow Russian language social media page, Horizen RU, particularly because we will be posting some news and updates about our representation in Ukraine. That's all from me, and next.
Hello everybody, Luca here for the traditional update from the Italian market. Actually, this time around, I'll start speaking about the international events that we have been attending in USA. And in particular, these two were two of the most important events worldwide in the blockchain industry. So we were absolutely glad to be there. So they have been mentioned also by Lucy previously. The first of them was the second ZK Proof workshop held in Berkeley, California, between April 10 and April 12. And that was attended by Alberto Garofalo and Maurizio Binello from the Horizen engineering team. So ZK Proof is the entity that organized and hosted the event. It's an open initiative of industry and academia to standardize the use of zero-knowledge proofs. And they are planning several workshops to standardize the security, the implementation, the applications, and all the other related aspects of this technology. Now, their first workshop took place in Boston and brought together academic and industry experts in the field, while the second workshop, as I just said, took place in Berkeley and jump-started the process of standardizations. For us, it was the best opportunity to get in touch with the greatest people in the zero-knowledge space, and among them were several professors, researchers, developers, and so on. So it was definitely worth it being there, not only from a technology learning perspective, but also to gain new valuable contacts in this space. Then the second event, IOHK Summit 2019, was another great appointment in the crypto space, held in Miami between April 17 and April 18, with an impressive agenda, amazing speakers, and again, another great opportunity to get valuable contacts. The IOHK Summit is an opportunity for blockchain enthusiasts and businesses from all around the world to meet, collaborate, and learn more about the challenges facing the blockchain industry. This was a mainstream event, so of course something totally different from ZK Proof Workshop, but again, very valuable. Glad we were there this time with the Italian Alberto Garofalo and Rob Viglione. Regarding the Italian territory, I have been focused on community engagement. So I'm bringing this on for the next month as well. And one of my major goals was to organize meetings with the Horizen pool operators and mining pools, both local and international. We believe it's super important staying in contact, growing the relationship. So I'm glad to meet some mining pools and also local crypto communities in the next weeks. A few meetings have already been planned here in Milan, so I'm looking forward. And additional things that I'm planning for are videos of Horizen adoption in Italy. There are a few new places where you can spend Zen, all thanks to the partnerships we have established with partners like Pay2Mat, as well as others, of course. And I'm also planning on doing interviews, again, both in person and online. I take this chance to say hi to Flotner, a friend of our project who is coming soon from Ukraine here in Milan. He will be interviewing me. And that's it for now. I think it's time for Q&A. So back to you, Rob and Rolf.
Thanks, Luca. That was a great update. And also thank you, Arno and Angie. Great. We've got lots of good questions that we've gotten here. And I know Rob and I are looking forward to viewing them. One of the things that I like doing, standing here and advancing the slides and thinking about ways to answer the questions at the end, is to look at the presentation from the perspective of someone who's both been with Horizen for a long time and for someone who's new. So one of the things that I was thinking about when we were talking about the nodes is by doing the node tests and payments and things like that, it really gives us an opportunity to test the scaling functions of our protocol. We wouldn't have run into some of the issues of going to larger amounts of transactions and block sizes and things like that unless we had so many different transactions going on. And also, all the back-end software that we developed lets us prepare, just like Alan said, to go to a distributed solution, but it really gives us a lot of a really good experience operating a lot of things. And merchants will certainly look and say, well, if I'm going to accept Zen, can they scale to handle a lot of customers? So this is a demonstrated capability, the nodes, and that was a side benefit of putting in the node payments thing. And Rob, I'm going to jump to something else that I was thinking about when we talked about Horizen Labs. Obviously, there are folks that invested in the private company, the Horizen Labs, which is completely separate from Zen Blockchain Foundation and the development of the Horizen protocol. And this is really a good thing because if we look at how much Zen is out there and what the market value is, there are certainly institutional investors, but they're a small part of the overall ownership. And as we put the governance system in place for Horizen, it'll really give everybody within the community who has the ability to vote a chance to make their ideas known. And with Horizen Labs, there's many different things that Horizen Labs can do on the business-to-business side of things, just like Rob said, and this gives the opportunity for people who want applications to be able to pay for support and other things like that, the opportunity. So I love the two different organizations and the different ways that they're addressing the different aspects of the industry and the protocol.
Rolf, I completely agree. So I think it's a really good point to stress. And in any case, this is going to accelerate the growth for the entire ecosystem. So really excited for this. So guys, one of the points from the Q&A, so we had some really good questions this week or this month. So first question is kind of philosophical, kind of engineering, is Do we think that at some point Zcash and Horizen technologies will be so different? For instance, if we were to switch to a DAG protocol upgrade, that we will not be able to implement Zcash's tech improvements. So it's certainly possible. Now it depends on what tech improvements. So for things within cryptographic libraries, it's likely that we'll still be able to utilize cryptographic libraries. If it's things that go to the protocol itself and how they do consensus, if we were to change our consensus in a sufficiently divergent way, then it's absolutely possible that for some types of upstream improvements, we will not be compatible and not be able to upgrade. But there for sure will be some subset of those that it would be fully compatible and possible. Probably require even more due diligence, because there could be more points where it could break what we've done on other areas. So the more divergent we get, just the more careful and deliberate we have to be about any type of improvement. And you can see this happening right now with our sapling, adoption. We decided to take a measurably more conservative and methodical path to actually integrating that major upstream improvements, because we had started to diverge already in our code base.
Yeah, and to leverage on that, we have excellent developers who have a real feeling of responsibility towards all the code that Horizen has. So instead of just pulling in upstream improvements without checking them out, there's a lot of work that has to be done to understand them completely, figure out how they integrate into things, and then work into the code that we have. So it's not just blind upgrades. There's a lot of work that goes into getting the upgrades. I wanted to address a question on supernodes. So are there going to be increased requirements for processing power and memory and drive space on supernodes? And so let me draw a distinction with the function of the supernodes and the secure nodes, and then the other third-party applications that will be done with the sidechains. So secure nodes are a way to get nodes everywhere in the world, behind different countries, level firewalls, building level firewalls for wallets to be able to connect and send and receive transactions all over the place. So that extends the ability to use Horizen to everywhere in the world. And supernodes are bigger sized because they're running two of the main sidechain protocols that are being developed to make Horizen more distributed and more resilient. And these are the governance, so the Treasury voting protocol, as well as the distributed secure node tracking and payment system. So those are the two primary sidechain applications that are intended to run on supernodes. For anybody else that's running the additional sidechain applications, to be able to, if you're going to be running a sidechain application and providing distributed processing power for it, you would probably expect to be paid in some fashion for that. So those could be supernodes that are higher, that have more capability than standard supernodes. I believe from the discussion of the protocol, it can also be applications that want to run third-party sidechain applications do not need to be super or secure nodes, but they will probably need to run the ZenD as a standalone node. So anyway, I just kind of want to draw the distinction on that. I know there's a lot of different things that we've got going on with nodes, but want to address that.
Yeah, no, great point. And then there's another question about whether or not we are going to be upgrading to ZK Starks, so another type of zero-knowledge cryptographic technique. So right now, I can tell you we don't have any plans to upgrade our core cryptographic library, libsnark. But that's not to say that we couldn't or won't in the future. So I can tell you one thing from my perspective is we have so much going on, and we have some really important things that are absolutely core to kind of our unique, innovative value proposition to the marketplace. And from my perspective, the sidechain SDK is the big thing that we're doing right now. And when it comes to other types of, say, upstream improvements or other things that we can do for, bringing, like swapping out cryptographic primitives, we're really not looking at that right now. We're really focusing the limited resources that we have in the most strategic way possible, which is bringing the sidechain SDK to market. So this is what we're focusing on right now from the big picture perspective, and where we're putting some of our key engineering resources. Now, of course, I say that with also the caveat that we have another major software upgrade coming with 2.1.0, and we are sharing resources there. So, we certainly are not, strictly only doing such an SDK, but in terms of thinking about new requirements for new work, really that's not on the planning agenda right now. We really need to focus and really get to market with the commitments that we've already made.
Okay, couple straightforward ones here. Will the Sphere mobile wallet be a single device wallet? So could you use the same, can you access the same addresses on the Sphere mobile wallet as you can with the Sphere desktop wallet? Well, I already do this because I have a computer that I use at home and a computer I use when I'm out and about. And I use the recovery seed from one Sphere wallet and put it into the other, so both of them have access to the same addresses. And I would expect that we could do the similar thing with the mobile wallet, so that you just take your desktop recovery phrase and put it into the mobile wallet. I personally wouldn't do that because I just think that I like to have a mobile wallet that's kind of a hot wallet with small amounts of Zen in it. But there's lots of different ways to use wallets. And then when the mobile wallet comes out, will it be able to use sapling right away? And sapling, of course, are the shielded transactions that are private or anonymous, that are very fast, and they're designed to be improved on and added to. There will be in the future the capability to use sapling on the mobile wallets, but that's not the first version that's going to come out. There needs to be a lot of back-end work, nodes that the mobile wallets can attach to, and other types of protocol improvements to be able to use private, so shielded transactions on mobile wallets. But it's definitely part of the roadmap and the intention to put that in place.
Another question on Zenhide and any progress there. So Zenhide, back to my previous conversation of where we're focusing right now. We're focusing on sidechain SDK and then 2.1.0 and bringing over sapling and other improvements. We're actually have not initiated a project on Zenhide other than some of the things that we've been looking at in the past, kind of having some community participation in building, say, a distributed VPN service and so forth. But in terms of the foundation working on a Zenhide, we actually don't have an active project on that.
Yeah, there are some interesting things coming up with the way the SSL protocol is being implemented in the future that may allow us to do this, to do the Zenhide. I'm sorry, just to add on to that, Rob. To jump to another one. Okay, so there's all sorts of different events and opportunities that people have. Mohammed just posted a question on the YouTube. What is the best way for people that have events that they think would be good for Horizen to have a president to engage with the team? My recommendation is always the same. It is be active on Discord, go to the marketing channel, say you've got an event that you're looking for some assistance on, and then work with the marketing team to do that. And Lucy or Rowan, if you have different things that you wanted to add on to that, feel free to jump in here and add on to that. But really the best way is to engage with the folks that are part of the Horizen team that have been doing this for a while, and get support and to get that onto the official list.
Okay, so I have just kind of a general comment here that I think is important, and this goes towards to that. We have people that want to participate and do different things. This goes towards the idea of how do we allocate our resources as a project. What are we doing? How are we controlling this? And you guys know now that we have a nonprofit foundation that controls the treasury resources, and we're on a path to trying to decentralize or democratize that. It's a very challenging engineering project to do that. But now as an organization, how do we manage how we spend money? And I can tell you, we are becoming increasingly obsessive with being data driven. And maybe obsessive might have a negative connotation, but when we make decisions, we want to understand why are we making this decision? What are the key performance indicators that we're looking at? Really, what are the objectives that we're trying to achieve? Like when we go to a meetup or a conference, what are we doing there? Are we just going and kind of, giving people beers and pizza and trying to talk about Zen? Maybe. Are we collecting, email addresses so that we can, feed them through a drip campaign to educate them on Zen and the ecosystem and values of privacy? Really, what are we trying to get? So what we've been doing internally is quantifying the things that we want to achieve whenever we invest any money in different activities, whether that's an ad campaign, which we really don't invest in many of these things, whether that's hosting meetups or going to events. We really try to maximize our impact from doing these things. And just over time, even things like upgrading or changing our homepage or any aspect of our website, it's because we're looking at the data of users. Actually, how do they interact with the website when they go there? What are they clicking on? What's their scroll rate through different aspects of the website? And we're using this data to actually then go and refine and give users more of what they want and less of what they actually don't care about. So everyone has opinions. Opinions, I think, should be discounted appropriately, and we should actually be observing what people actually want with their revealed preferences and making decisions accordingly. So that's how we do things. That said, we love to get out there and have the community be active, and I think it's extremely valuable when we have people go out and do meetups and host events or attend different things to educate people.
There was another question previously about our intellectual property strategy. Well, that's how I took the question. As we're moving the development from private repositories to public development on the GitHub, does that mean we're just open sourcing everything? And actually, it doesn't. We have different applications and different projects on the GitHub that we maintain, and some of them are private and some of them are public. And some of them have different types of licenses. And there's many different reasons that we do that. For example, I'll give you, like the Sphere wallet is something that we've spent a lot of the Horizen Treasury funds on. It's still a work in progress. It's an important application, and so we have all sorts of security tests that we've done to it. And right now, that is not an open source application. At some point in the future, I expect it'll be an open source application, but we're not doing that open source right now. Same thing with the secure node tracking system. What we're asking people to run on their servers is open source, so the client, but the backend tracking and payment system is closed source. So we have a mixed intellectual property strategy. And this is what we feel is the best at this point in time. As we move towards community governments in the future, it may be that there will be recommendations and votes to change that intellectual property strategy, but this is what works best for us now.
Cool. Any other questions on your end, Rolf, that you see?
I don't see any other. Cold staking platform, I'm not really sure what cold staking means. It sounds to me like you buy something of a cryptocurrency and you sit there and you just get more because you own some. That's not what Horizen does. That sounds to me more like I don't know, a bond or something like that, or something that you buy and expect to get paid. Super nodes and secure nodes are where the system pays for services, and it tracks to make sure that those services are delivered with a service level agreement that's set by Horizen. So I don't expect that there's going to be cold staking, but if you want to refer to cold staking as putting a certain amount of Zen in an address and then running a node to provide services to the network, and considering that those funds to be staking funds for the service, you have the ability to put those staking funds in whatever type of wallet you want to.
Cool. And just a quick note here, guys. Let me see. If you are restoring a Ledger wallet, for instance, in Secure by Horizen, it will only be for your Zen from the Ledger wallet. You can't restore other cryptocurrencies. Sphere by Horizen runs on the Zen node network. So I think that's a wrap, Rolf, right?
Yeah, it's a good update. So I really appreciate everybody joining the live stream. I encourage you to look at the links posted so that you can just click on them instead of trying to copy them from the presentation. And as always, join us on the Discord. Ask your questions there. Engage in with your other Horizen community members. There is a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm so happy that our community is willing to help people and bring folks into the fold and provide assistance in many different ways. So thank you for doing that.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
See you next month.